What's up, y'all? It's Bethany and
Dave. Hi, everybody.
surprise, we're mixing it up today.
That's right.
Kristen is actually in Hawaii, so we're not feeling too sorry for her right now. But I was super excited because when I found out she was going to be out of town and we needed another video, I was really excited to have you on because we haven't done a video together in a long time.
I was excited too. When she
Okay.
mentioned it, I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, you were actually really excited. For those of you who don't know who this is, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Dave. I'm Bethany's husband, and I've been married to Bethany privilegedly for the last 3 years, and it's been wonderful to continue to get to know her and be her husband.
So we've actually had a lot of videos on Girl Defined. Our entire wedding was live streamed on Girl Defined.
On Girl Defined.
I think it was on Girl Defined.
Wow.
So like he said, we've only been married for 3.5 years, so we are not like marriage pros or anything. But this video is going to be specifically for those of you who are like single, dating, engaged, or really in like your first 5 years of marriage. If you've been married for longer, you're totally going to find a bunch of stuff that's encouraging and helpful. But we just want to share, I guess, some things that have helped us to have, I don't know, what?
I like you.
It helped us to have, like, I guess, a good, happy, thriving, I don't know, first
Things that have
few
helped?
years of marriage. Yeah,
Things
I
that
think
have
so.
helped.
Things that have helped. But first, I'm setting my coffee down. Before we jump into that, I'll show you this at the beginning in case you see what I'm holding. 150 questions to strengthen your marriage. It says by Bethany Beal, but Dave actually did a ton of work on it. And it's a 15-page guide that starts with kind of a like morning, evening, before bedtime challenge. It goes into specific questions, over 150, that you can ask to strengthen your marriage, to grow closer to one another, to continue like that dating, pursuing each other. It has some great questions for your sex life, which I think are super helpful. And then it gives you next steps, like what to do after this, counseling options, podcast to listen to. So you can get this at my website, bethanybeal.com. So it's not at Girl Defined, it's at bethanybeal.com. I'll link it below. But yeah, do you want
to talk about our marriage?
Okay, how's it been? We haven't talked about, I guess, life since Davey. We haven't really given an update. We did a couple of videos when I was pregnant, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah. Davey, how old is Davey? 2.
A little over 2.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like the second year of Davey is much different than the first year.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's gotten a lot, in some ways, easier as he's continued to get older and his attention span has grown. So I mean, some of the things that come to mind would be, I actually just have one big thought.
Oh, go
So I'm just
for
gonna bring
it.
in one.
Yeah. Share.
So my big thought lately has been how great it's been over the last 3 years, and really picking up speed in the last 6 months, where our life together has been, I think, becoming more harmonized.
Yeah.
And if you kind of zoom out, we're 2 singles at one point with our own sort of tracks and lives and careers and everything, and then we come together, get married, and to a large degree we still had those tracks.
Yeah.
She had sort of her things and values, and I had my things and values, and so it's a matter of sort of give and take at that point, and
For sure.
and kind of learning how to compromise, and then how to support each other on the things that we are passionate about and pursuing. And so that's been good, but I think in the last 6 months there's been a lot more of a bringing both of those tracks towards one track together.
Yeah.
With our family,
Yeah.
oriented around both of us and Davey.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for how that's been happening, and that's both in terms of what we're doing, what our work looks like,
For sure.
what our community involvement looks like, but also some of our desires have been shifting as well. And I don't know how much of it is intentional. It's really hard to know how much of it is intentional, but that's why I say there's like one big thought. It's like I see us kind of coming together more.
Yeah.
Does
I
that
would
make
agree
sense?
with that.
What would you say about that?
Totally. I mean, we've been talking about it because this year, especially starting 2022, it's not like we had a big plan of, okay, we're going to get like really unified and really just like work on, you know, our family and our marriage in big ways, but it just kind of happened. Like we've always had a really good marriage, but we've both been talking about how like 2022 has been like this just new awesome level. And I don't know exactly why that is. I feel like we're both being very intentional to grow individually.
Might be it.
and so it's just been like a launching pad towards growing closer. Just, I don't know. I know for me, it's like personally working on like my motivations and desires and just like what my priorities are in life. And
I feel like those have been changing a lot. What happened?
So, well, I'll share I won't share your stuff, but I'll share my stuff.
I'm asking what happened with you, because you've been changing more and faster than I anticipated.
I wanted to just like get really serious about growing and changing and just maturing and looking for blind spots and just getting over certain things in life, you know, and just like, I don't know, overall growing. And so I reached out to a biblical counselor from, I don't know what the website is, biblicalcounseling.com. I'll link it below. Anyways, and we just had our 9th visit today, actually.
Wow.
And meeting with her has been like the most incredible experience ever. She's just been so helpful in helping me to see biblically what my priorities need to be, maybe certain motivations and desires, and just I have a type of personality where I get to the end of the day, and if I feel like I did enough, then I feel really good about myself. And if I don't feel like I did enough, then I'm like, oh, I'm not good enough, I should have done more, blah, 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 like very, very driven in that way. And just realizing like it's so ambiguous for me, and like I should have one main overarching desire every day, and that should be to please the Lord with what he's put before me. And at the end of the day, realizing like, wow, that is the best thing that I can do. And so that's been super, super helpful for me in readjusting my priorities. And, you know, I have found so much more joy in being a mom, even way more joy in like being a wife. And I think I've become a much more joyful woman through that process. And it's so cool to see that there's so much freedom that comes from living in line with the way that God designed us, which is ultimately to be about him and living for him and pleasing him. And that's like freed me up in so many ways just to like enjoy life. That sounds like basic and Christian-y and random, but that's truly what it's been.
What are some of those specific desires that have been shifting for you?
So I noticed a lot in my life that I would want to do certain things because I wanted to, like say with church, it's like I would want to volunteer in a certain way because I wanted to be admired or respected, or I felt like that's the way you have to do things. I love to be in like leadership, and I realized maybe some of my motivations for that weren't necessarily to glorify God, but because I wanted to be perceived a certain way, or I wanted to be admired in a certain way. So not like a good thing with the wrong motivation. So I think digging into my motivations, actually read a book on motivations by Ed Welch, which was amazing. I'll link it. I'm always linking things. Link it. And that was super, super helpful. So I think just digging into my motivations, and just, I mean, honestly, basic aspects of Christianity, like grace. It's like, I know about grace, but like I've been studying it more deeply recently, and it's just been so amazing, you know? Amazing grace.
Has the grace been amazing?
Anyways, I feel like that's too much about me.
I don't think so at all. I to some extent, I've been experiencing something similar. I think for me, it's getting a little bit more in touch with what is truly important to me, and kind of interrogating some of those really deep desires. You know, sometimes we can go off on desires that are up here, and sort of ignore deeper desires that are more fundamental to what we want our choices to align with. So
you've been amazing.
Interrogating some of that.
You've just been incredible. I am just beyond grateful for you. You were the best dad, the best husband. One question, this is kind of a deep question. I didn't prepare you for it at all.
Well, I'll need a drink.
Because of my last video I posted about all the miscarriages we went through this past year, which you can go back and watch it. I recently posted it. We went through 3 miscarriages this past year and are still on this journey of trying to figure out kind of like what's going on and all that. it's been, you know, hard things when they draw you closer to each other and closer to Christ can actually be good things. So although we don't want it, I feel like we've grown a lot closer because of it. But people have asked regularly how you have dealt with going through those miscarriages as, like, you know, my husband.
Oh.
And people just wanted to know, like, how you are doing.
Oh. Well,
I know that's a really deep question.
Thanks for asking.
So it doesn't have to be really long. You could just, you know.
Right. Well, I mean, for me, it has a lot to do, my processing of all that has a lot to do with, I mean, most everything to do with you and how you're doing. So, that's what's been most difficult, is to see the hardship that you've had to go through. It's never something you, like, you don't want to lose a life, obviously, but the suffering that happens to the ones that are alive is hard. But I wouldn't say that I necessarily personally am, like, beaten up or anything like that. You know, it's more like I care about you, and I want to go through this together and ensure that I am being a support to you and to our family in a way that's appropriate and that is considerate, rather than what I can tend to do, which is sort of, okay, we dealt with it, moving on, don't bring it up again. So trying to continue their ongoing conversation about how are we doing, and
which has been amazing.
Like that. So that's kind of been both how I've acted, but how I felt a little bit.
Which is so interesting, because I have found that in communicating with other women, that can be a hard process, because a lot of women expect their husband to grieve and process in the same way, but what you've described is very consistent with what I've heard other wives share how their husbands are, and other couples that we're close to who've gone through miscarriages, how often the husbands respond. And so I think learning, you know, because of what Kristen and Zach had gone through with multiple miscarriages, they had kind of walked through that, and so I kind of had seen the difference in how a husband and a wife can respond, and how they can, you know, how it's okay for them to both have a different experience but draw close to each other. And so, you know, sadly now we both as couples have gone through that.
I personally felt like I've been very inspired and learned a lot from Zach, and just how he's handled these sorts of things, things that he said, very encouraging. And
I think you've, you know, just done an amazing job, and I do think it's drawn us closer together because of it.
Well,
you've been amazing.
I think so too.
So ending on a positive note. Let's see. Do you
want a drink?
Do you have anything you want to say about our amazing guide?
I want you to know that I'm very proud of Bethany and the amount of work that she's put into this guide. And I mean, look at the colors. She picked out all this stuff. The colors,
Sorry, I had to put a new cover on.
Look of it. Oh, is it?
It's kind of balancing.
Is it a functional?
Well, I couldn't find the stapler because I ruined the other cover. So
holding it together at this point.
Yeah, holding it together. But you can staple yours.
Go ahead and get a paper clip or.
But I think this would, like I said, be amazing if you're like dating, engaged, heading towards marriage, or married. I think this just helps to keep the conversation flowing, to help you continue to pursue one another, to get to know each other. We've been working through the questions. We've been sharing them on my Instagram. So if you go to @bethany.beal, we've been sharing them like regular, weekly, you know, a couple times a week, different questions, and sharing our answers so you can just see how it goes. But yeah, I think this could be super encouraging to you. So thank you so much for being on here today. That's really sweet of you.
Hey, that's okay. You're welcome.
We'll see you all next week.
Bye-bye.